And it wasn't until later, much later, sis, that I realized what I was actually begging for. I wasn't begging for the position, I was begging for my identity back because I had so completely become that role that losing it felt like losing me. I want you to try something with me before we even begin. Wherever you are right now, in your car, on your walk, in the carpool lane, in the quiet of your bedroom before everyone else wakes up, I want you to do something brave. I want you to mentally take off every name tag you're wearing. Take off mom, take off wife, doctor, pastor, director, boss, friend, sister, daughter, volunteer, caregiver. Take off the title on your business card, the name on your email signature, the role you play at church, the version of you your kids know, the version of you your friends know. Now, without any of those name tags on, who are you? Sis, if you just felt your chest tighten, if you just realized you have no idea how to answer that question, you are exactly where you need to be. Welcome back to Below the Circle. I'm Dr. Phyllis, your landing coach and your co pilot on the ground. And if this is your first time here, sis, welcome. Pull up a seat. I'm so glad you found us. Every week we sit with one honest question, the kind that names something you've been carrying for so long you forgot it wasn't supposed to be there. Today's question is a threshold. And once you cross it, you can't quite uncross it. So take a breath and let's go. Last week in episode 141, I asked you, when was the last time you were fully in a moment, not planning the next one, not replaying the last one? And so many of you reached out quietly, honestly, to say that one stung, that you couldn't remember, that you'd been physically present for years of your own life, but mentally somewhere else the whole time. Sis, I want you to hear me. Naming that is not failure. Naming that is the beginning of presence. But here's what so many of you also said. And this is why today's question matters so much. You said, Dr. Phyllis, I tried to be present this week and I realized I don't even know who's supposed to be present. I don't know who I am anymore. And sis, that's exactly where we're going today. Here it is, today's question. If you stripped away every role you play, who is the woman underneath? Read it, hear it one more time. If you stripped away every role you play, who is the woman underneath? Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but Dr. Phyllis, I am a mother. I am a girlfriend. I am a friend. I am a wife. I am a daughter. I am a caregiver. I am a volunteer. I am the list goes on. I am what I do. And I'm not asking you to deny any of that. Those roles are real, they're sacred, they matter. But, sis, they are not all of you. They are the things you do, they are not the woman you are. And if you can't tell the difference anymore, that's not a flaw in you. That's the cost of decades of circling. Today, I'm going to tell you the story of how I learned that the hard way. I had to really pray on this. I've told this story in different ways in the past, but I really wanted to share this with you and share it with you from where I am right now on the ground with grace, with healing, with the perspective God has given me on the other side of it. But I'm telling you the real thing because if I dressed it up, it can't do the work in you that I need it to do. For years, many, many years, I poured myself into my work as a physician. I loved my patients, I loved their families, I loved advocating for the ones who didn't have a voice, and I loved leading. I was the kind of leader who showed up at 6 a.m. and answered emails at 10 p.m., if not later. I covered for everyone. I made sure my team was supported, that my supervisors had what they needed, that the marginalized were seen. I was good at it. And more than good, I was invested because somewhere along the way, leading well had become how I knew I mattered. And then a leadership position opened up. One I had spent years being prepared for. One I felt called to. And rather than a clear transition, I found myself in what I only can describe as a 2-year competition. I'm gonna be honest, there were times I felt like it was a pledge period. Oh, there was proving, performing, and I dove in with both feet because that's what I knew how to do. I knew how to do that. After those 2 years, I was appointed. I served a full 6-year term. And during those 6 years, sis, I gave everything. I led through some of the most difficult seasons our department had ever faced. I advocated, I covered, I held the line on fairness even when it cost me. I poured out until there was nothing left. And then I poured out some more. And in the middle of all of it, my body started talking to me. I live with scleroderma, and emotional stress can flare it. The flares got more frequent. My body was whispering what my heart didn't want to admit. You are not okay. You have not been okay for a long time. But I kept going because stopping was not in my vocabulary. When my 6-year term came near a close, I had the option to seek another term. And sis, here's the truth. Deep down, I was exhausted. Deep down, every honest part of me knew it was time to step back. But I had so fused my identity with that role that the thought of letting it go felt like the thought of disappearing. So what did I do? I sought another term, and then someone else was appointed. Now, I want you to picture this because this is the moment that everything changed. I was sitting in a chair in my living room, just a regular chair, and I was crying. Not pretty crying, not graceful crying, the kind of crying that comes out when your whole body is just, it comes out of your whole body because you don't know what else to do with what you're feeling. And here's what I'm not proud of, but I'm going to tell you because it is the truth. I was begging. I was on the phone begging my direct supervisor to please go back to leadership and ask them to reconsider. Please, just one more conversation, just one more chance. And it wasn't until later, much later, sis, that I realized what I was actually begging for. I wasn't begging for the position. I was begging for my identity back because I had so completely become that role that losing it felt like losing me. I sat in that chair and I felt every layer of it, the grief, the anger, the confusion, the hurt that I couldn't even speak out loud because speaking it would look like sour grapes, as we used to say, right? Sour grapes, you're just upset because you're not in that position anymore. I didn't want people thinking that because I said something. So I swallowed it the way I'd swallowed so much for so long. How I had suppressed my emotions for so long. How I had suppressed my message for so long, my voice for so long. And in the middle of all of that, a thought rose up that I will never forget. How did I get so far from home? Like the prodigal son, as you often hear me say, I felt like the prodigal daughter. How did I get so far from home? Because somewhere in those years of giving and leading and covering and proving, I had walked so far away from the woman God created me to be that I didn't recognize her anymore. I knew her resume, I knew her titles, I knew her schedule, but I didn't know her. I had given 8 years, really, if you count the years of that competition, 8 years to a version of myself that the world rewarded. And in the process, I had lost the woman underneath. And here is where the grace came in, sis. Because I had a choice in that chair, I could curl up and stay there, or I could get up. I got up, not gracefully, not all at once, but I got up and I started doing the work, the deep, sacred, uncomfortable work of finding out who I actually was underneath everything I had been doing for everybody else. And here's what I know now on the other side of it. That moment, that chair, those tears, that begging, that was God ejecting me from the cockpit. It was not punishment, it was rescue. Because if he hadn't pulled that lever or pushed that button, I would have flown that plane until it ran out of fuel. And I would have crashed somewhere far worse than my own living room. He loved me too much to let me keep circling. So he brought me down. And on the ground, sis, on the ground, I started to meet her again. The woman underneath, the one I had buried under titles and to do lists and other people's expectations, the one God formed before the world ever told her who to be. There are two scriptures that I want you to sit with today. They go together, they tell the whole story. The first one is Psalm 139, verses 13 and 14. For you formed my inward parts, you knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. God formed your inward parts, sis, before anyone gave you a title, before anyone gave you a role, before the world had any opinion about who you should be. God formed the inside of you. You were somebody before you were anybody's something. You were known before you were needed. You were whole before you were useful. And the second scripture, the one I sat in that chair with, even before I knew I was sitting with it, is Luke 15, verse 17. It's one line from the parable of the prodigal son. And King James Version says it like this: and when he came to himself. Look at that phrase. He came to himself. He didn't come to a new self. He didn't become somebody else. He came to the self that had always been there, the self he had walked away from when he thought the far country had something better to offer. That's what landing is. Landing is coming to yourself. It's remembering who you were before the world assembled you. It's reaching down through all the titles and the roles and the expectations and finding the woman God knit together in secret. She's been there the whole time, waiting for you, sis, below the circle. The descent It's not about becoming someone new. It's about coming home to who you've always been. It's about coming home to who you've always been. So here's what I want you to sit with this week. Just one question. Hold it in your hands. Hold it in your heart. Hold it in your car, in your shower, in those quiet moments when nobody needs anything from you. Here it is. Who were you before the world told you who to be? Don't rush the answer. Don't force it. Don't try to perform it. Just let the question sit. And if a memory rises up, a younger version of yourself, a dream you had, a way you used to laugh, a thing you used to love, pay attention. That's her waving at you below the circle. Next week, in episode 143, we're going one layer deeper. Because as you start to meet the woman underneath, you're going to find some things you didn't expect. Some of them beautiful, some of them tender, and yes, some of them painful. So here's next week's question. What pain have you been calling strength that actually needs to be grieved? What pain have you been calling strength that actually needs to be grieved? That one is going to land. Make sure you don't miss it. Make sure you don't miss it. Before you go, sis, one invitation. I'm building something just for you. It's called the Landing Lounge, the Below the Circle Landing Lounge, a community for women who are ready to stop circling and start landing together. The website is still being built, the doors aren't open yet, but the movement is already here. And you can be a part of it from the very beginning. Head to drphyllisHayesReams.com, one word, drphyllisHayesReams.com, and join the movement. You'll be the first to know when the landing lounge opens and the first to receive something special I've created just for you in the coming days. You don't have to land alone, sis. I'm already here on the ground, ready to help, ready to be beside you as you make your descent. This is the Below the Circle with Dr. Phyllis. Remember, as I always say, stop circling and start landing. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.